Welcome back, Eric, to a video. Today we are back for another NFL video. This time the much awaited playoff prediction video is finally here. We've got the whole bracket here ready to get filled out, and basically the way we'll do this is we will go all the way through a round before moving the player forward, or I guess the logo forward, just so that we are all on the same page there. I'm not gonna like say the winner of the Chargers game, move them forward, and then go down. I'm just gonna say all the winners for that round, then move forward. That way it's a bit cleaner. It doesn't really get as confusing because, you know, it might confuse some people. But either way, before we get into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I would really appreciate that. I do Madden and NFL videos. Madden, I do a No Money Spent series. I do gameplays and new content, all that kind of stuff in the NFL. I have a new series coming out for the off season, which will be very interesting. Kind of like, well, there's also a ranking players thing I want to do, and maybe more, well, I guess not maybe, definitely more tier list videos. So basically, to kind of summarize it up, I do tier list videos, a ranking player series coming soon, a different kind of series. I don't even have a name for it coming soon, but it'll be very interesting, like the topics we're going to talk about as far as NFL goes. And then obviously, while the season's going on, we do week picks every week, but you know, that's pretty much over, so you know. But into the playoff prediction video right now. So first off, I would like to say that the AFC is crazy because Patrick Mahomes is 27 and is the oldest quarterback in the playoffs this year for the AFC, which is just insane. Overall, though, I really like the way the playoffs turned out this year. Obviously, as a Panthers fan, I would have loved to take that Buccaneers spot, but I mean, truthfully, we just didn't deserve it. We didn't play well down the stretch. We had to beat the Steelers, and we lost to them. We just, honestly, it was there. We just shot ourselves in the foot, but you know what? It is what it is. Basically, though, so for round one, we have Chargers versus Jaguars. We have Ravens versus Bengals, Bills versus Dolphins, and then for the NFC, we have Buccaneers versus Cowboys, Vikings versus Giants, and 49ers versus Seahawks. So some really, really good games. I'm excited for, honestly, all of them, except for maybe Dolphins, because I'm sure they'll be able to blow out without, you know, Tua playing. But either way, first game up, Jaguars. Wow, okay, that's not a good start. Chargers and Jaguars. So this is an interesting one because I believe the Jaguars won by like 30 earlier this year, and I think that was in like LA too. So that was really interesting. Obviously, I don't think they're going to duplicate that. I think this is honestly a very good game, and I've gone back and forth on this a lot. I've wanted to pick the Chargers solely because of them being able to play the Chiefs the next round. Truthfully, though, I don't know if the Chargers will beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars are home. Trevor Lawrence had a bad game last week, and honestly, he's played very well this year, especially the second half of the season. I could see him bouncing back. I don't see 2 bad weeks in a row for Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, I think if the Jaguars don't turn the ball over, they can kind of control this game and win. Although I will say the Chargers just have that, like, all of a sudden they can just get that spark and blow up on offense. And it's just like, you know, in a blink, they're all of a sudden up, you know, 14 more points. I think it was very stupid to play all their starters against the Broncos. Stupid's probably an understatement and what will keep it for, you know, YouTube sake. But, you know, it is what it is. I am going to pick the Jaguars. I really want to pick the Chargers for the next matchup, but I just can't really bring myself to do that. I like the Jaguars. I like the Chargers, and I'm honestly really excited for the game, but I do think in the end the Jaguars will come out on top of that game. Next is Bengals and Ravens. It doesn't look like Lamar is going to come back, and I think even with Lamar, that Bengals team that they beat back in like week 5 or 6, whatever it was, is not the same Bengals team that's on an 8-game winning streak. They're just not. The Ravens have slowed down. They've struggled with injuries. Lamar's been out. It's just a very unfortunate end of their season. I would be pretty surprised if the Ravens beat the Bengals this weekend because I don't even think Tyler Huntley's playing. I think it's the backup again. Anthony Brown, maybe. I can't remember what his name is, but he struggled a lot. And you know what? The Bengals are a Super Bowl contender, and I just can't see them losing to the Ravens, so I'm picking the Bengals in that one as well. And unfortunately, this game would have been so good if Tua was playing. It is really unfortunate, though, with just his string of bad luck and concussions this season, but Tua is out, and I don't think Teddy's playing either, which I know, okay, so injuries aren't funny, but, like, Tua's out with a concussion, you know, very serious. And then Teddy has, like, a hurt pinky. It's just kind of funny, like, both quarterbacks aren't playing. One for a serious head injury, one because his finger hurts. I'm sure that's very oversimplifying things. It's just, you know, kind of funny to look at, like, on the surface. Either way, though, they're playing the Bills. Yeah, there's not much else to say here. If Tua's not playing, I think the Bills are taking that game. And we'll move into the NFC now. Buccaneers and Cowboys. Now, this game pains me because you know what? A lot of people try and say, like, you know, they're not biased when they make their picks. And I'm not biased either when I make my picks. But sometimes I'll be straight up with you and say, I don't like this team. I'm picking their team just because, I'm not a professional. I'm not an announcer. I can say whatever I want. I'm a Panthers fan. I don't like the Buccaneers at all. And honestly, I'm kind of a Cowboys hater too. I love CeeDee Lamb. I do not love Dak. I think he's incredibly overpaid and overrated. But you know what? For this, I will keep it unbiased. If I was biased, I'd probably just pick, the Cowboys because I just can't stand Tom Brady because, he's in my division. But honestly, I do not see Dallas winning this game. You go back to week 1, the Buccaneers won. Great, as a long time ago. Dak got hurt in that game. A lot of things have happened for, honestly, both teams down the stretch. The Buccaneers have struggled more, while Dallas had kind of went on a big winning streak, finished 12-5. But they did struggle in some games in there, which is worth noting, especially against the Texans, and then finished their season with a loss to Washington. The way Dak is playing, with I believe the most interceptions in the league with playing 5 less games, I do not see Dallas winning this game. Because first off, Tom Brady is not someone you want to play in the postseason, no matter what. No matter if his team is 8-9 or whatever, like with a losing record, or whether he's undefeated. You do not want to play Tom Brady in the postseason. And I know at a certain point, reality has to set in. And besides Tom Brady playing, their offensive struggles have to come into play. I get that. But truthfully, the Buccaneers' hurry-up offense and, no huddle has been incredible. And I see this being a very close game. I see it being a low-scoring game. And I think the Buccaneers have the ball. And in a no-huddle situation, they're going to march on the field and win the game. Whether that's with a touchdown or a field goal, I think it's going to be very low-scoring, more like a 20-16 type of score. Unfortunately, I don't see Dallas winning this game. I had to pick the Buccaneers. I don't like doing it. I'm sorry, Dallas fans, but I think Brady comes out on top in that one. Next is the Vikings and Giants. Now, this is really interesting because people like to hate on the Vikings because, they're frauds, or they get blown up by the Cowboys, and they come back down 33 points to the Colts and all this kind of stuff. Kirk can't play in pride time. And I think, it's all very valid, although I think it is worth questioning how the Giants will play in the postseason, because it's been a minute since they've been in the postseason. And honestly, I don't know if I'm sold on either team, which is kind of funny. I think both teams are very beatable, which is why I think, the last time they played, it was a very good game. And I think it will be again in the playoffs. But the Vikings are 11-0 or 12-0 in one-score games this year. That is a crazy stat. That is 11 to 12 game difference where they could beat 0 and whatever. I guess not 0 whatever, but you get what I mean. 5 and 12. But it's a mark of a good team when they can come on top in those situations. That's very mentally tough. Kind of leading your teammates, going on the stretch and winning the game in tough situations. And I think if the Giants win this game, they need to be up 2 scores, because if it is within 1 score, it is going to go the Vikings' way. For whatever reason, that is where they thrive. And I don't think the Giants will get up 2 scores. I think it'll be a close game the whole time, and I think because of that, the Vikings will win. I'm not sure if Kirk's going to struggle or not. He beat the Patriots in prime time. He played really well, honestly, that game. And then they'll turn around, throw 3 interceptions to the Eagles. So you have no idea really what to expect from Kirk in prime time. It seems like it's more struggles than success. But it's just both teams look very beatable to me, and that's why I could see the Giants losing this. And I think, once again, the Vikings will win, probably by 3 points again, honestly. Next is Seattle and the 49ers. I'm very happy the Seahawks made it, because back whenever it was the Seahawks and Panthers toward the end of the season, the Panthers were kind of had to win out to get in. And I felt really bad beating Seattle, because honestly, I love the Seahawks. I love Geno Smith. Kenneth Walker's amazing. DK Metcalf's just a beast. Tyler Lockett's great. They got Kobe Bryant. They got Tariq Woolen. So they have a lot of really likable players for me. And I was really sad beating, so I was afraid it's kind of like their season over type of thing. But they managed to get in. They needed some help, but it all happened for them. Unfortunately, I think it's kind of all for nothing, because they're playing the 49ers, who are one of the best teams in football, if not the best team in the NFC. They're on a massive winning streak. Brock Purdy looks to be solid. I want to say, though, he is still a rookie. It is still very possible he messes up, or he has a game where he struggles. Now, at this point, this would be the time for that not to happen. They would have probably rathered him mess up and struggle in the regular season rather than the postseason. I do think the 49ers, though, are a very strong team. Their defense is absolutely incredible. So I do have them beating Seattle in this game. With the conclusion of round 1, we have some pretty good games, honestly. If all this, I'm sure I'm going to be wrong about some of these. But, if all this were to work out, it looks like for the divisional round, we have some really good matchups. So we have Chiefs and Jaguars at this point. We have Bengals and Bills. We have the Buccaneers and the Eagles. And we have the Vikings and the 49ers. So starting with the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs win this game pretty easily. They already beat the Jaguars. I understand the Jaguars did play better toward the end of the season. Might be more competitive, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs is not easy to beat. So I'm picking them in that one. If it was the Chargers, I could go with an upset, to be honest with you guys. I could go with an upset. And honestly, I think if I'm wrong about the Chargers game and they beat the Jaguars, they could upset the Chiefs completely in the playoffs. At the very least, they'll lose by 1 score in the very end like they always do. On to the Bengals and Bills, though. Now, I do feel like this is a much-needed rematch. Like, that game, the atmosphere and the speed at which it was playing before Damar Hamlin unfortunately got hurt was crazy. Like, the Bengals stadium was erupting with every single play. They marched down there and scored 7. They held the Bills to 3. They were marching again before the unfortunate injury to Damar Hamlin. I think we deserve a rematch. I gotta say, I think we deserve a rematch just because I think the fans, honestly, and just the NFL viewers as a whole should be able to watch that game because it was going to be very good. I do think, and it's kind of hard to base off of that one, quarter or quarter and a half, whatever it was, of the Bengals and Bills of who you think is going to win that game. But the Bengals are on a massive winning streak as well. I think it's 8 games now. They look very good. I'm going to pick the Bengals over the Bills if it comes to that. I think they looked really good starting out the other game. I know that could be, taken with a grain of salt. That can change. But I just feel like the Bengals overall are one of the strongest teams in the NFL. And I think the Bills have struggled a little bit. Josh Allen has struggled just slightly this year. Some games he's done some very questionable passes. And Burrow, honestly, I think has been a bit more accurate. Bills fans are probably going to want to kill me for that, but I think he's just been more consistent, at least not in divisional games. Divisional games, he's thrown, I think 4 or 5 interceptions. Out of division, though, he's thrown very few, and he's been very accurate. Josh Allen has thrown some questionable passes. I think overall it's going to be a very high-scoring game if it comes to this, though, but I do see the Bengals winning that game if it comes to that. And then in the NFC, this would leave us with the Eagles and Buccaneers, and then the Vikings and the 49ers. So for the Eagles and Buccaneers, I think the Eagles win this game, which is kind of funny because the Buccaneers beat the Eagles in the playoffs just either last year or 2 years ago. I think they get their revenge. I don't think it'd be too hard for the Eagles. I would hope not. Obviously, playing Brady is never easy, but even like the Bengals, like I said, whenever they played the Buccaneers earlier this year, because I was just talking about the Bengals, that's why I said just like I said. I know I didn't talk about the Bengals and Buccaneers a minute ago, but I talked about the Bengals is what I meant, so not to confuse anybody there. But anyway, earlier this year when the Bengals and Buccaneers played, the Bengals forced like 4 turnovers in a row or something insane. The Eagles are able to do that, not 4 turnovers, but able to get stops and continue scoring. That's kind of the secret to beating the Buccaneers because their defense isn't always able to get stops down the stretch. So that's why I'm gonna pick the Eagles in that one. I think their offense is very good. Their defense is strong too. Hurts is back. Feeling about the Eagles, I think they advance from that game. And then over to the 49ers and Vikings, I do think if the Vikings or Giants win that game, either loses to the 49ers. I really don't think. Oh, I guess technically the Giants when they'd play the Eagles. But either way, I picked the Vikings. Vikings are losing the 49ers. If it comes to that, the 49ers defense I think is way too good for Kirk. I think it could be a good game, but I don't see the Vikings winning that. To the championship round, we are left with the Chiefs and Bengals rematch. We are left with the Eagles and 49ers to get the Super Bowl, which is honestly, I think, really cool matchups if it comes to this. Which again, even if it doesn't, there's still a lot of possibilities of some really good games. Like I'm really happy with the playoff setup this year. For the Chiefs and Bengals, you got to wonder how long this whole Burrow is undefeated against Mahomes thing lasts because Mahomes has been playing incredible, but that does include a loss to the Bengals this season. Now, which is the better team? Probably the Chiefs, but the Chiefs secondary struggles when you put the pressure on them, and that's why the Bengals play them so well. They just pass every time, they open up the field, and it really hurts the Chiefs to try and guard, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd, all those guys. The Bengals have a very strong offense. Samaje Perine out of the backfield, he can catch very well. I think he had like 3 or 4, not 4 touchdowns, but I think he had 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs or someone else earlier this year. So he can do it too. It puts a lot of stress on him, which is why it always just comes down to kind of the offenses, and it really just kind of last team to have the ball or first team to get a stop really. And once again, I think the Bengals would win this game. So I'm picking the Bengals going back to the Super Bowl and beating the Chiefs. I think if the Chiefs won, I wouldn't be too shocked, but I do think the Bengals kind of managed to just have Mahomes' number and control the game well against the Chiefs. So if it comes down to that, I'm picking the Bengals again. Next up for the Eagles and the 49ers, I'm going to pick the 49ers. Just going to say it straight up. I think their defense is great. Their offense is incredible. So many weapons. I think getting Christian McCaffrey was that extra boost they needed to really just take off and take their offense to the next level. Their defense is already incredible. Now their offense just seems to be at that same level. And I think it's better than the Eagles. I really do think they'll put a lot of pressure on Hurts with their defense. And I think their offense is going to just keep rolling like they have all year, which is really interesting because this would be a rematch, a Bengals and 49ers Super Bowl rematch from like the 90s, which is also, before last year, the only team the Bengals had lost to in the Super Bowl. So now the Super Bowl matchup with the Bengals and 49ers, I'm going to pick the 49ers. I think if it comes down to this, the 49ers are going to beat the Bengals like they always have in the Super Bowl, but even more than that, I think their defense would make the Bengals offense struggle. I think there's very few defenses that do cause the Bengals offense to struggle. The 49ers defense would definitely be one of them. Even last year, before the postseason started, the Bengals and 49ers played toward the end of the season. The Bengals lost at home to the 49ers, who honestly seemed like they weren't the better team, but they still managed to beat them. And it's just because, for whatever reason, the 49ers just kind of owned the Bengals over the years. And if it comes down to the Super Bowl, I'm picking the 49ers again. As the Super Bowl champions, I would be absolutely ecstatic for Christian McCaffrey being a Panthers fan. That'd be so cool for him. Brock Purdy, though, if he leads them there, I believe he can. I mean, with all the weapons he has, he just has to play solid every game. And if they can make it, the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, they can certainly do it with Brock Purdy. So I'm picking the 49ers. And that's going to kind of do it for the playoff prediction video. I'm sure plenty of you guys disagree with plenty of my picks on this, because whenever you are predicting teams or players, there's always, people that are unhappy with their favorite players or favorite teams not being picked or respected or whatever. And, I get that. That's just kind of how it goes. So comment down below what you think I kind of picked wrong, or what matchups you think will kind of go differently, or even bigger upsets. I didn't pick a whole lot of upsets, honestly. I think the biggest upside I would have picked, if I could do it again, would be the Chargers to beat the Chiefs, assuming they win round 1. Other than that, though, I'm not really sure. But be sure to let me know down below what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.